The Treaty of Versailles, signed back in 1919, was supposed to be it, the final word on World War I, the agreement that would finally bring lasting peace. But instead, this one single document created wounds so deep, it actually helped drag the world into a second, even more catastrophic war, just 20 years later. So that's the big question we're tackling. How on earth does a treaty that's supposed to end war become one of the main reasons the next one starts? Well, to figure that out, we've got to look at what was really going on behind the scenes, and the dominoes that were all lined up, just waiting to fall. And the craziest thing is, the treaty's biggest flaw was there before a single word was even written down. When the victorious allies showed up to the Paris Peace Conference, they had completely different, totally opposite ideas about what peace should even look like. And this right here, this is the core of the problem. So picture this. In one corner, you've got the US president, Woodrow Wilson. He's an idealist, pushing his famous 14 points, a vision for peace without a clear winner, all based on cooperation. But then, in the other corner, you have the French Prime Minister, Georges Clemenceau. France had been absolutely devastated by the war, and he wanted one thing and one thing only: revenge. He wanted to crush Germany so completely that it could never, ever be a threat again. The treaty that came out of this was just a messy, contradictory mashup of those two extremes. This clash of ideas led us straight to our first domino, assigning the blame. And it was all cemented in one of the most infamous parts of the entire treaty, Article 231, better known as the War Guilt Clause. I mean, just let those words sink in for a second. Germany was forced to accept sole responsibility for the entire devastating war. For the German people, who believed the war had all sorts of complex causes with blame on every side, this was a profound national humiliation. This wasn't just a legal point, it was a moral condemnation that basically branded their whole country as the villain. And the fallout from this? Oh, it was immediate and it was brutal. The German people were absolutely furious. They felt betrayed by their own government, the new democratic Weimar Republic, for even signing such a thing. Right away, this clause destroyed trust in democracy and planted these deep, deep seeds of resentment. But crucially, it also gave the Allies the legal justification for the next domino to fall. And of course, that sense of blame had a very direct consequence. See, if you're the one who is solely to blame for all the damage, guess what? You have to pay for it all. The War Guilt Clause was the justification for the second domino, an absolutely impossible bill called war reparations. The amount of money was just staggering. It was way beyond anything Germany's war-torn economy could ever hope to pay. And let's be clear, this wasn't just about rebuilding France and Belgium. This was designed to keep Germany economically crippled for generations. So here's the catastrophic chain reaction that happened next. To even try to make these payments, the German government did the only thing it could. It just printed more and more money. And the results? Hyperinflation. By 1923, prices were spiraling completely out of control. A person's entire life savings became worthless overnight. You'd see people pushing wheelbarrows full of cash just to buy a single loaf of bread. This economic disaster wiped out the middle class and created a desperate, angry population that was just right for radical, extremist ideas. Okay, so we've covered the moral blame and the economic ruin. The third and final domino was the physical humiliation of the German state itself. The treaty literally carved up Germany's land and tore apart its military, leaving the nation feeling completely vulnerable and exposed. The sheer scale of these losses was huge. Key industrial regions like Alsace-Lorraine went back to France. Germany lost all of its colonies overseas, ending its time as a global power. And its military? It was dismantled. The army was slashed to a tiny forest of 100,000 men. Its air force and submarines? Completely forbidden, gone. This wasn't just about preventing a war. It felt like a deliberate attempt to erase Germany from the map as a major power. And so this is how we get to the final collapse. These three dominoes, the blame, the bill, and the humiliation, they didn't just cause hardship. They combined to create this incredibly powerful, unifying sense of national grievance that was just waiting for someone to exploit it. At the end of the day, the Treaty of Versailles became the greatest propaganda tool imaginable. Extremist political groups, especially the Nazi Party, could just point to the treaty and say, "See, this is the source of all our problems." They promised to tear up that shameful treaty, rebuild the military, and bring back German pride. And to a broken, humiliated people, that promise sounded incredibly good. So this brings us right back to where we started. The treaty that was supposed to guarantee peace instead created the perfect breeding ground for resentment, extremism, and eventually another world war. It's a really powerful lesson in how the way you end one war can set the stage for the next one. Which leaves us with this one big final thought to chew on. If the Allies had chosen Wilson's idealism over Clemenceau's revenge, could the entire tragic history of the 20th century have been completely different?